This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
A decade ago, I took a trip to Paris. Embrace Paris, hashtag for those wanting to time travel. We were a group of women living our best lives, taking Parisian cooking classes, dodging traffic in Twizzys, those ridiculous little two-seater electric cars. Go find that video on my YouTube. It's a chaotic masterpiece that I think actually aged quite well. It's hilarious. We also got an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour with the leather Maison Buena. Our Paris home was at Le Maurice, the extremely luxurious hotel. Ugh. We had the Madonna suite one night for champagne and a private dinner. Yes, the one with the private rooftop view of the Eiffel Tower. But eventually our carriages turned back into pumpkins as the iconic pop star dining experience ended. But woe was us, as it was just a private elevator ride down to our rooms as we were all staying at Le Maurice, living la rough life. But the real treasure from that trip wasn't the champagne or the leather. It was one of the women I met, who you get to know today, Ann Garvin. Having worked as an RN and after receiving her PhD, taught exercise physiology and health psychology for 30 years. She left her old life behind and pivoted into writing full-time, where she also teaches creative writing at Drexel University. She's now the best-selling author of 7 novels. Her latest book, Tell Two Friends, is a delicious, sharp-edged dive into misogyny and manipulation, told through the eyes of a nice lady, a high school feminist, and just for a little spice, a serial killer. It's the kind of fiction that might actually save your life, or at least help you spot the red flags before you have to burn them down. Today, we're unpacking why it's apparently a crime against humanity to write a book that is simultaneously funny, sad, and terrifying. We're also tackling the math of the publishing industry. I mean, let's be honest, every fucking industry. Why, even though there are more women writers who are successful versus men, are they still being handed peanuts? Be clear with that word. And men get the gold-plated treatment. Oh, and she started a camp that wait lists every summer for women inspired by her novel, Bummer Camp. And welcome to the Fuck You 50s.
It's a grown-up lady camp, we call it. And we're doing 2 back-to-back this year. We got 700 people signed up on the waiting list within 24 hours.
Wow.
They want to go to camp, and they want to canoe, and they want to read books.
I mean, I don't know if I want to canoe, but...
Well, not all of them. No. But
No.
people want to do archery, and they want to lay in hammocks and read, and they want to talk to authors, and that's kind of what we do. It's so relaxed and so amazing.
So is it all, like, it's all women, right?
Yeah, just women. Nobody's dressed up. Everybody is ready for camp. It's like this great, calm energy of people who like stories.
Yeah.
And it's not for writers per se. I mean, we bring writers in to talk about their books and stuff, but it's really for the readers to get, just to immerse in it. It's really something.
And so what's that camp called?
It's called Bummer Camp because I wrote this book, Bummer Camp, about anxious and depressed adults who go to a camp run by anxious and depressed adults. And so I just thought it would be so funny. I think there should be a camp for anxious and depressed adults. But the only people that run those things are college students who are all anxious and depressed. And so that's how I thought of this book. I just thought, oh my God, that would be so funny. And then I wrote it, and then I was like, we should have this camp.
Yes.
And then now we have this camp. So,
and where is that camp?
It's in northern Wisconsin.
Okay.
You can fly into Madison, and then it's like a 2-hour car ride, and people get to know each other, and they ride up together.
Amazing. You stay in cabins?
Yeah, it's cabins.
The hesitation in my voice, I'm like, I don't do tents.
As you should feel, because I wouldn't want to do a tent either. So the idea came from when I used to work there. And I was a camp nurse for people with different abilities. So they were hearing impaired, sight impaired, differently abled, autistic. And I was a nurse there. That was my first nursing job. Right. And so it's set up for comfort and also camp. It's not glamorous, but it's not dirty either.
Yeah. And then is that camp when you're not using it for your camp, is it still
Yeah,
utilized for
it's
yeah?
used for it's a Lions camp. No,
I don't know what that is.
it's a you know how like men from a different era, but they are groups. There's lions, and then there's what are the ones with the fezzes? They're like these.
Shriner?
Well, the Lions Camp funds this, and it's
Okay.
incredible because, I mean, every kid, it costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars for these kids to go there. They don't pay anything. The Lions pay it all summer, every summer for decades.
Great.
It's really great.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk about your writing and how you got into that. And I know when we originally met, you had already been an author.
Yeah, but I think it was brand new for me then. I think I'd only had maybe one book out.
So tell me if this is correct, but you had a professor tell you were the worst writer he's ever seen. Is that true?
It's true, but I was a science writer, and I was a terrible science writer. But also, no one taught me how to do it back in the day when I was in nursing school. We didn't write papers. We memorized pharmacology, and we did a lot of clinical stuff, but we did not write papers per se. I only knew how to write a paper that was like on Shakespeare or something. I didn't know how to write a clinical paper, and I'd certainly never written research before. So when I was in grad school, I was an expert in nursing, and I could draw bloods for the labs, and I could do muscle biopsies because I was licensed. And so the thought that I would be also a good writer in research was not right. And so he could have done it differently. Let me just say that.
Okay.
He's from the old guard. The way you motivate somebody is to criticize them horrifically in
Yes.
front of everyone.
Yeah.
There were only 2 women that had ever been admitted to that program. It's a 50-year-old lab. And so this other woman and I really took the heat there for a while. But I had come from nursing at the VA. So I had worked with hard patients, worked with hard physicians. It was a time when nursing was undervalued and physicians were the king of the crop. And so they were mean. And so I sort of knew the lay of the land before I got in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it didn't sting, but I felt like this isn't my first rodeo for you dickheads. I came from a different field. I didn't come from research, so I was not their favorite person. It's incredible that I was able to finish there without them kicking me out because I was really a different kind of person for them.
And what was that program that you were doing then?
So at first I got my master's in exercise physiology, which is
Okay.
just physiology but moving.
Right.
And then I got my PhD in exercise psychology, which for me was health psychology. And that was like how to help people make good decisions about health that require you to know about psychology and behavior.
Okay. So what does that kind of look like? Because it's something I haven't heard of before.
I think most people think of sports psychology as they work with athletes to motivate them to do better, but we did not do that. We were not as much about intervention. We were more about studying how exercise makes people feel better and why. What are the attributions to it? I looked a lot at anxiety and depression and how exercise can make you feel better. It
Okay.
compared to other kinds of things like meditation or quiet rest or hypnosis and things like that.
Yeah.
And then later I pivoted to how exercise is a complicated thing for women per se, and that maybe they feel better for good reasons and maybe they don't feel so good about it for different reasons. Like they might feel good about exercise because they've lost weight, but is that really feeling good about the modalities of exercise? So I looked a lot at that.
Right.
I have to be honest, I never really got better at writing. A little bit I did, but
Yeah.
I'm sure AI would have been an absolute godsend to me.
Yeah.
But, there wasn't that back then. The thing about research is that you have to write the same thing every time. You have to say the same thing, use the same phrases. And creative writing is not that. And I could not kind of get that out of my mind. No one explained it to me. I wasn't paying attention. It was hard.
Yeah. And then when did you segue into creative writing?
I wrote my first short story in 2004 because there was a contest, and it was the Wisconsin Book Festival. It's great now, and it was great back then, but it was a big deal, and they brought in the biggest name writers, and they had all these incredible people come to campus, and you could go to everything for free. It was like a big writing conference. And they had a contest where they opened it up to everybody and said, if you want to do it, it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
You sign up, send in your money. We will send you a photograph or a piece of art, and you have to write a short story within 24 hours and get it back to us. And that's it. And everybody gets the same picture. And so I thought, well, nobody will ever see it. It'll be fun. And then I did it. Then I went to a wedding in San Francisco because it never occurred to me that I would have done well at this contest. And they called me in San Francisco. They're like, "Oh my God, you won second place. You got to come to the auditorium tonight. We're going to announce the winners, and then you get to read it on a stage. And we have like 1,000 people that are going to be there." And I was like, "Well, you should have told me. I'm not there." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we feel bad about that. We didn't think about that." I was like,
like, oops, missed that.
So it was amazing. They published the story, the judges' responses to our stories in the newspaper. And it was the first time I think that I'd ever written anything that someone went, "Oh my God, this is great."
Mm-hmm.
You know, you spend a lot of time, especially in getting your PhD or even teaching, nobody says good job. And so when somebody said good job, I think it could be one of the happiest moments of my life.
That's amazing.
And then I had this thought where I was like, "Oh, well, maybe I should look into this a little bit." And then I just started learning how to write and figuring out what to do next and learning the business of writing. And then I put the same energy into that as I did for getting my degrees and stuff. But I was more into it,
Yeah.
for sure. Into it.
And
Yeah.
what was your first novel?
On Maggie's Watch. I have them all here because I just did a talk. It's about a woman who lost her child in utero and then moves to her old home because she's pregnant again and learns that there's a sex offender that lives on her street. And she comes kind of unglued, and she wants him out. And it's funny, which is really the hardest part of me. Whenever I try to tell people about this book, I'm always like, "It's this crazy book." And then it's funny. And people are always like, "That does not sound funny." I know, but it is funny.
But humor and I know you've talked about this as well. Like, humor needs to be balanced with like grief and sadness. Like, is that I feel like there's only the way to kind of come around that, you know?
It's two sides of the same coin. If there isn't pain, there isn't humor.
Yeah.
If there isn't humor, there wasn't a painful thing, because it's all about surprise and embarrassment and humanity. And like, I just think the stand-up comedians that are good at their job, to me, they are geniuses. I think that's the hardest job there is. And
Yep.
when they do it, I am in awe of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
I agree. I love stand-up comedy, and I myself have been doing improv
oh, you have? I
for
saw that. Oh my God, I
yeah,
saw that. Do you love
yeah.
it?
I love it so much. I've been doing it for over a year now. And yeah, I'm just going to keep kind of taking more courses. I'm thinking about possibly taking a stand-up comedy course, but I'm still on the fence about it. But I say that, but I'll probably end up doing it. But yes,
Yeah,
I love it so much. And just when I was reading your thoughts about humor and sadness and trauma and everything, I was like, yeah, that's I
that's
subscribe
it.
to that.
When I was first writing, people were saying you can write drama and you can write funny, but you can't write both. Like, you got to pick a lane. And I'm just so grateful that there's people that have really championed my writing because I didn't pick a lane. And I'm so grateful for that because I really only think that way. That's how my mind works. If somebody would have said no, I wouldn't have had a career.
It's nice to kind of do something that's not in the box of what everyone else does, because then you stand
Yeah.
out. There's a lot of great, like, heavy dramas out there, but I just wonder, it's even like with TV shows and movies, like, I can't just watch heaviness after heaviness. There has to be light in there as well.
Same. And the ones that are the best, like the shows that really know how to do that, I think are the ones that are the most successful shows. Like, have you watched Widow's Bay?
I have not. I want to. I love now I just forgot the lead actor's name. I love him, but I've heard it's a bit scary, so I don't know because I can't do scary.
Well, you'll be fine because I don't
Okay.
do. I don't do scary. This is so good. Somehow they have tempered it perfectly. Or like Slow Horses.
Oh, Slow Horses, genius. Oh, it's
Genius.
so
He's
good.
so funny.
Yeah.
He's so suspenseful. I love it.
Yeah. I like to, when I'm going to have someone on the podcast, I like to do like a deep dive of research. And so there's a couple quotes that you said that I love. And maybe if I say one of your quotes and then you can kind of expand on it,
Sure.
or maybe you have a fresh perspective on your own quote.
Mhm.
This one was, you keep going in the light of knowing.
Oh, when did I say that? It's true.
You're like, oh my God, I'm a genius.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's a
Uh,
spot knowing, isn't it? It's no different than if you're on a dark path and you have a flashlight. You keep going because the next step you can see it. And sometimes it's only that next step.
Yeah. I think it was in relation to your mother being unwell.
Yes.
And I just thought that statement itself could be in all kinds of different things in our lives.
Yes, it's true. And my mom was sick for a long time. Like she had Alzheimer's for a long time. And in that way, I think, wow, you keep going in the light of knowing who she was and who she might become and who is inside of her.
Yeah.
That losing my mom to Alzheimer's, that is something I'll never get over. And that's fine to not get over it. It
Mhm.
informs everything that I'm doing, I think, is
Yeah.
that knowing that, you know.
Did she, I don't know, do you say suffer through? Like, did she suffer through that for a long time or?
Well, the funny thing about Alzheimer's in some cases is that you don't sort of know you have it. Like you do on some instinctual way, you know, because they they mask all the time social appropriateness, even though like you'll be like, "Hi, mom," and she's like, "Hi," and she doesn't really know what hi means anymore, except for that it's a socially appropriate response that she's used always. Or
Right.
and my mom, I used to say, and I still say, my mom did not know me, but she remembered that she loved me. She wasn't really agitated, like, oh my God, I can't remember this or any of that. It happens almost without them knowing it. And my father suffered because he cared for her, and we all suffered. And it was hard to see her become that. It would
Yeah.
be the worst thing you would ever want for someone. She was pretty confused by then, but not so confused. And one time she said to me, "If this hadn't happened, I'd never know how sweet your dad could be." It was in a moment of clarity that she said that. I was like, "Oh, oh." So she knew sometimes. It's hard to know. It's very hard to know what's in there. They're non-specifically agitated. They're non-specifically angry, and I think part of them is angry for a good reason. Part of them is not really aware. It's very complicated, I think, in there.
Yeah. I remember one time my grandfather, we were at my mom's and I don't know if it was dementia that he was experiencing, but I remember sitting there having a long conversation with my grandfather. And then my mom came out uh, and he turns to her and he goes, Karen, who's this lady? And he's gesturing to me. She's lovely. My
Oh.
and my mom was like, "Oh, daddy, that's your granddaughter." And it was just like the whole time I was talking to him, I honestly thought he knew 100% who I was.
You
And
are.
yeah,
See,
yeah,
that's socially appropriateness. Like, I will talk to somebody forever and not know who they are, and then they'll say something, and I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, now I know who they are."
yeah,
But, you mask it.
yeah,
The brain is so amazing that they can do that. It's sad. Ugh.
yeah. It is sad. So this is an article that you, or I guess, short story, your
Huh.
experience on the dating.
Oh, yeah, it's a true story.
I just saw that recently, so I don't know if it went viral again for you or what, because I thought it was a current story, but that's from 2024, right?
It is.
And I'll say the quote from that, and then maybe you can share the story. But you said, I wasn't exactly killing it like the gowned and bedazzled women in The Golden Bachelor, but I thought I could hold up my end of a glass of wine date.
Yeah, of course, I couldn't really at this point. Yeah, I did not know what was coming for me at that time.
Fucking hell. When I read that, I was like, I can't even like I mean, I've had before I got remarried, I've had my share of crazy dates, but that was fucking insane.
It was insane. And the really insanity of it was he was like my mom. He did not know what he said. And to be fair, and this was funny because men would sometimes say, well, I think he thought of it as a compliment. I'm like, yeah, but like, get a grip, read the
Yeah.
room. That's not a compliment, you dope. I don't care what his intention was. Think about what you're saying. And so when I reacted, he was like, oh my God, not you. And I was like, all right, but still that's bullshit. Like, I don't care if it's me or not. How
Yeah.
dare you undervalue us? And you're not the only one to react that way because 6 million people wrote in on this. And people were nice. think I had one troll, like
Yeah.
one. People were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was really stunning.
Yeah. Do you want to reveal what he said to you? Or
I'll say it. He said, I sat down and I said, how's dating been? How's online dating been for you? And he said, oh, well, I'm handsome and I have a good job. And I just really thought I'd be dating younger women. And I mean, when he said it, I was just like,
you were like, did you know that's your outside voice?
it was so insane to say that. And I was like, did you? It was such a shocking moment that, and usually like I'm pretty good at shocking moments.
Yeah.
But I was like, what I couldn't believe, even beyond the phrase, was that he said it out loud.
Yeah.
And it really, to me, in some ways, it really, it shows you very much that someone thinks a woman is an object to be evaluated by some external qualification. He believes that a woman is an object. I should be dating younger women rather than any other thing. Like, there's only one way to look at that.
Yeah.
You may not be able to articulate it that way, but that is the problem.
Yeah.
And then when he says not you, he means I'm a human in front of him, but he genuinely or generally doesn't think of women necessarily as human objects to be evaluated.
Yeah. So when I was a single mom with my 2 older kids, and friends of mine convinced me to join Lava Life, which I don't even know if that's still around.
Oh.
And that was kind of when it was kind of first starting and getting popular, this online dating. And so I registered, and I went through a few different conversations with men online, and nothing inspired me to meet them. And it just kind of shows where maybe my radar is off because this one guy, for some reason, was like, sure, okay, like, let's get together. I'll meet with you. And he had a dog. And so we decided that our date would be, I would meet him at a coffee shop and he would come after work, get his dog, and then meet me. We'd go for a walk around the coffee shop. And he got to the coffee shop and he had a suit on still, no dog. And he said, I'm so sorry, I'm running late. I didn't want to keep you waiting. You can keep waiting here and I'll go change and get my dog, or you can come. I live close. And so I didn't feel stressed, or there was no red flags at that point. Get to his place. It was like a scene from a bizarre movie because there was empty cornflake boxes and half-filled cornflake boxes, like so many of them, all over his apartment, kind of tipped over. It was crazy. It was like, okay, somebody prop styled this. It was so bizarrely perfect. And he had a dog, so that was fine. I used his washroom. He had newspaper that almost hit the ceiling. So it was almost like he was a hoarder of newspapers and cornflake boxes. And I was just like, right away, I'm like, this is not a love connection, but I was brought up to be polite. So I just thought, I'm just going to go on this date and whatever, go for a walk. And it was like springtime, so it was in Toronto, and we still had like kind of snow on the ground, but wasn't too bad. And we go to leave his place, and he was like, "Oh, you can leave your handbag here." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to keep my handbag with me," because I knew I was not going to go back into his apartment. But then we walked, and all of a sudden we're walking in some park. Again, I didn't feel unsafe because we had a dog with us, and there was still people walking around. But the funny thing is, he was so bloody tall and he had big strides and he's walking so fast in front of me. And I'm kind of behind him by like multiple feet. And I'm just kind of like tossing my hands up in the air and like rolling my eyes and kind of laughing to myself because I thought it was so funny. And then he abruptly stops. I catch up to him and I went, sorry, you walk a lot faster than I do. then he slapped my fucking ass and says, "Don't worry about it. You can make it up to me later."
Well, that would be a viral essay right there.
So should I write that and submit it? It was
Yeah.
fucking insane. And it was just like the way he smacked my ass too. It was like so shocking. And I kind of like jumped
Oh
and
my
I was like,
God.
what the fuck just happened to me? And then I remember kind of walking, we're still in the park, all of a sudden coming around and we were out of the park and all of a sudden on the street. And I realized that right in front of me was my Jeep Liberty. And I was like, perfect timing. And so I turned to him and I was like, thank you. So I held up my hand like I'm shaking his hand. I'm like, thank you so much. What a wonderful evening. And bent down, pet his dog, got in the car, went, picked up my kids that were at my neighbor's, and immediately took myself off of Lava Life.
You know, the problem is these are the stories that are absolutely more predominant than having an evening that doesn't have some absolutely insane happening.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he touched you, the fact that the other thing that I find so shocking, and only recently since I've aged, is that I can name it. And that is the audacity that they think they want me, I'm going to choose them. Like their baseline is they want me. It's fine. I get to pick.
Yeah.
And then they pick. And you, on the other hand, as if you aren't part of that equation, you're just like, I'm in the place of evaluation. There has been no decisions made. And so very often I felt as though my decision was being co-opted by them. Like, we're in a relationship now. And I'd be like, I mean, you really have to ask me first. I'm not really doing that.
Yeah.
Like, and I found that happening. I had to spend a lot of time reading about it and thinking about it because I too have been trained to be polite. And I too have been always given like appropriate responses to situations. And there's good reason for that, but I didn't know. There was so much I didn't know about that. In fact, I'm not necessarily plugging my next book, but this is actually what that book is about.
Tell Two Friends.
Yeah. It's about what we have to learn that we haven't learned yet and how we get so mad at ourselves for not knowing things that we think we should have known. And a lot of it is about manipulative kind of conversations and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the audacity of you can pay me back later is, by the way, one of the warning signs for violence because he's created a debt.
Right.
You pay me back now. And often people will be like, because then the next step would be them saying something like, well, come on, you owe me. And you're still trying to figure out how do I owe them?
Yeah.
So I have really spent a lot of time in my last 10 years trying to decode information that I absorbed as polite before. And now I realize that a lot of that put me into situations that I did not want to be in out of politeness.
I'm sure like all of us women could just list off so many situations. Now, there's another quote that I found that you said, and now I can't remember where I pulled it from. But anyway, it was, check out this old person. They achieved something.
Yeah, that's from that article.
Oh, is that from that article? Oh,
yeah, it is. Because I was not ready for the devaluation, right?
Yeah.
And even though it's around me everywhere, and I was talking about how they have like, sometimes they will highlight a woman's age or a man's age and they'll be like, can you believe it? She's 50 and she did this. And so the idea being like, it's either woe is me or good for you. Like, oh, they're 50 or oh, good for you, you're 50. And like, check out this old person. Look how they did this thing. I say that my age is 65.
Yeah.
But I don't really identify with 65. And that's not in a bad way. I'm not demoting 65. I just don't feel like any age. I'm not saying I feel 28 either. I just am me.
Yeah. Yeah. Me. I think that's perfect. And I also think too, we were brought up with like stereotypes of what different ages are. So it's
Mhm.
hard to feel that age. Like I just turned 55 this year. And it's kind of like, what is 55? People show images of the Golden Girls when that TV show was going and how those women were in their mid 50s, I think. And so you look at those characters and you look at yourself and you're like, but I don't look like, and it's just these weird stereotypes. But it was funny when I was revisiting all these quotes and everything, it reminded me just recently. So there's a magazine here called Chatelaine magazine. They recently were doing a piece on This Is 50, and they wanted stories from women in their 50s about things that they've done. And it's funny because I participated in it. I'm happy I did. I gave them two things that were new to me, that I started my podcast last year, as well as I also started improv last year.
Uh-huh.
And in one hand, it's like, yes, look at all these old ladies actually accomplishing things. Wow, look at them. That's so nice. They're out of their rocking chairs. But obviously it's also supposed to be inspirational. And I think
And
it's
it
also
is often. Yeah.
But I do think it's funny because they quoted me. They sent in a quote, but they changed my quote. Like they changed some of the wording of it.
I
And
don't know.
nobody actually reached out to ask me if they
Yeah,
were,
that's
because,
great.
and I've been quoted in many magazines over my career. So I was a bit surprised to see, because even when it came out and I was reading it and I'm like, that's weird. They had me quoted as saying that I was nervous entering into improv. And I'm like,
Oh,
nervous? I'm not even a nervous person. So it's
yeah.
weird. And so I thought, did I say that in my quote? And then I went back to what I sent the writer, and I did not say nervous. I said I felt out of place, and that I felt that it was a bit of imposter syndrome, because my belief was that, and after, like, I'm a hair and makeup artist, right? Been working on set, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, and I know lots of actors that take improv. So I was like, am I going to be in a room full of bunch of actors who are serious about a craft? And then I come in with my imposter syndrome. It was like, a
Right.
bit more
That makes
articulated
sense.
than that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
instead, she changed it that I was nervous. And I kind of thought that's not fair because, first
They
of all, no one
shouldn't.
checked with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're sending in quotes for other people in their 50s to read,
Right.
like,
Yeah. Then they should be represented correctly.
yes,
If you want 50s, then represent it correctly.
yes,
And then also, if you're going to edit something, you need to tell me what it is you're going to edit.
yeah,
Yeah. I was edited once in an article and I came unglued. And just because I'm a writer, words matter. You're not allowed to change
yes,
words if you want me writing for you.
yeah,
Unless you say to me, add this or take this out or whatever, and we work on it together. That's different. I'm
yeah.
not saying I can't be edited. I can be edited. But
But you have a voice.
yeah. And also, I mean, they were representing an emotion for you, not changing words because they didn't think it flowed. That's not right.
Yeah,
Frustrating.
it
Yeah.
is frustrating.
Yeah. It is.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases. Unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online. And a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business. You'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
Let's talk about your Tall Poppy Writers. It's for other women authors.
Mm-hmm. Well, the world is so noisy. It's been noisy forever. It's worse now than ever. And how are unnamed voices, the unfamous voices, supposed to break through and become a voice of substance if no one has given them a hand? Publicity's hard. There's no money for it. Men get the publicity. Men get the larger advances. There are more women writers and more women readers, but men notoriously get benefits more than women do. And so I was mad, as usual. And I was like, well, I'm going to create a collaborative of women, traditionally published women author, who will dedicate themselves to talking about each other's work. And that's really what we are. We're a collaborative marketing group that when someone launches or does something, we try to share it on social media so that other people will see it. So we share it to our own audiences. We share it amongst ourselves. We talk about it. Sometimes we do events together, things like that, because anything is better than nothing. And it's a hard world to break through. And well, 80% of authors stop after 3 books, and I bet it's after 2 books now. And it's not because they want to stop per se. It's because they were unable to get another book deal in some cases because they didn't sell enough books. And so then their career deteriorates. And if women are supposed to get their voices heard, then there's no way for us to get our voices heard if the stronger we get, we drop out. Because, you know, the debut, you're not confident. And then you only get that confidence with practice. And, but if they don't continue to publish, they don't get stronger. And so that was the belief system. Also, envy is a big thing, and so is jealousy. And so oftentimes you see people that instead of helping you, they tear you down because it makes them feel better. And that's what the tall poppy syndrome is. The idea that one poppy grows up and then it gets their head chopped off. But we wanted to turn that on its head and say, there's room at the top for everyone.
It happens in my industry as well. Do you think it's a creative industry thing? Do you think it's like across the board?
You know what I think it is? If you really ask me, and I don't necessarily have the data on this, but I bet there is data on this, is that the patriarchy is built on a scarcity model. And we've all been boiled in the patriarchy. And so the idea that somebody has to be on top all the time comes from a competitive hierarchical thinking. And since that is capitalism and the patriarchy, I think there is an inherent belief system that there isn't enough for everyone. And I think that women do not necessarily adhere to that. And I think genuinely women try to help each other and would if they didn't have the decades and decades of influence from the patriarchy. Like left to our own devices, I think generally because of oxytocin and estrogen and motherhood, we probably reach out more and help. And listen, the patriarchy isn't good for anyone. And the patriarchy isn't men, right? It's not a man. It's this idea that somebody's in charge and it's a man. And I think that we believe it.
Yeah.
Women have their own hidden misogyny, and we all do. I'm sure I do. And
I definitely have had conscious thought where it's like I see someone doing something and I immediately have like a negative, why are they doing that? And then I don't say anything, of course, it's all in my head, but I have consciously been like, wow, oh my God, like, why am I thinking that? Actually, what they did is gorgeous. It's almost like we're having to kind of untrain ourselves with this, what we grew up with.
I also think that jealousy and envy are natural emotions and that we can't necessarily feel badly about that because I think we naturally are feeling that way. We do want to survive, and sometimes our survival is dependent on somebody else's. But I do think it matters about how, like, you don't say it out loud and you don't do anything about it, but some people do.
Yeah.
And people are shitty, you know, and they stand in the way or they don't reach out or they're not generous because they don't want someone to do well. And that's where the poppies were trying to be like, this is our mission. And we try really hard, even though sometimes we feel jealous, we try really hard not to feel that way, or at least feel it, acknowledge, but not get into anybody's way.
Yeah. I've had a couple other guests where we've talked about where as women and we're starting a business or we're starting a podcast or maybe have a new book or something, and how it's interesting how we have more people sharing to help us succeed from like strangers.
Yes, that's so true.
versus
Yes.
close friends and family.
Huh? Yeah. How about that?
Like, why is that?
I think that I don't know why that is, and I bet there is some psychological research for that. But I also want to say that I think, and this is sort of, I can wonder what you think about this, but I think people, if you're close by and accessible, people are less interested in you. Like, oh, if she's right here, my neighbor, she's not famous. She's right there. And we
Yeah.
only want to brush up against fame and we want to meet the famous. And so the people that are less accessible are the ones that I think that we would like to reach out to. And so I think my advisor used to say an expert is someone who's 100 miles away. And I do think there is some of that goes along with that.
Mhm.
And so, or the idea of, oh, well, they'll always be there. Like, I am not certain that my kids have read all my books. They maybe have. I try not to bug them about it because I don't care, really.
Yeah.
But I know some of my friends haven't. And I know some of my friends haven't.
Yeah.
I know some of my friends haven't bought them. And I mean, I sort of feel like, oh, that's fine. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to monitor it. But I do think it's interesting. I hear what you're saying when you
Yeah.
say that it's strangers will find it interesting more than your really good friend. I don't know what that is though, but
Yeah.
it'd be really interesting to look at.
Yeah, it is. I need to find someone with an expert in that field and have them on my
Yeah.
podcast. I have a cousin, a male cousin, and he's hilarious. Shout out to Jared. He said to me one day, he's like, Andrea goes, because I love you, but I had to stop listening to your podcast because I can't listen about your vagina one more time.
That's so funny.
And I was like, fair.
That's fair. I understand that. That's so funny. That's a valid excuse right
That's
there.
valid.
That's valid.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Mhm.
And
funny.
my 18-year-old daughter, I know she was listening to the podcast, and then because obviously, I mean, now I just brought my vagina into this conversation, but obviously not every episode we talk about vaginas. But
Yeah.
I did say to Zoe, I just want to let you know that in the next couple episodes, there's a lot of vagina talk, which you're welcome to listen to. I'm just giving you a warning.
Yeah, right. So funny. That's very funny. Why can't we talk about our vagina as much as we can talk about our mind and everything else? Very interesting. Everyone's very interested, whether they believe it or not, whether they say it is or not.
Yeah. How do you feel about all this? Like how like menopause and perimenopause, obviously it's a positive thing that we're talking about it more and it's become like mainstream.
Thank God finally that it has broken through to a more of a mainstream conversation. I think it's so incredibly sad that so many people were unable to get care. And also it continues to be difficult to get care. Because there are so few menopause experts, right? Like even in my HMO, there isn't really anybody that would be considered a menopause expert. I go outside of my HMO to get my health care. And I think that because of the old information, physicians are still wrapped up in that old information. And so are women. Like they still think, well, I don't want to get breast cancer. And having to re-educate that, it's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think finally, I think menopause is the tip of the iceberg. The fact that there's not, as far as I know now, maybe now there is, but there's not one single anatomical study or really exploration of the clitoris is incredibly insane.
Yeah.
It's that the fact that there's Viagra, but there's no consideration about how women might help them, in terms of anything except for buying lube and nothing. And also what's so fascinating about that is what an incredible moneymaker that would be. If someone figured it out, that is $1 billion industry that they are leaving on the table because what?
I had a sex therapist on, I guess maybe 5 episodes ago, I think she was on, Dr. Trina Reed. And she was talking about how basically like we've been taught about sex more from the skew of pleasing the man. Yeah.
So for as long as we've been talking about feminism and sexuality, it is insane that it's taken this long. But some of that is women are freaking working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was going to grad school, there wasn't anyone being like, I'm an expert in this. You want to study sexuality? There was exercise, phys, and sports psychology, and it was all run by men, and I did it. So it wasn't like we even knew what would be available to us because the science wasn't probably there. So then people have to forge their own paths. And if there is no path before you, you have to go, you know what? I'm going to study the vagina. Can you imagine? 10 years ago, people would be like, that's insane.
Yeah. I'm like, why?
I'm studying. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I am absolutely thrilled. And I hope that the menopause leads to much more nuanced kinds of things. And then often I also think, not that they need more research, but it'd be very interesting to understand male menopause in a way that they can start talking about it, because the midlife crisis probably is male menopause. Just,
yeah.
you
Which
know.
their signs are a red sports car and a young chick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Loss of interest in their wives.
Yeah.
And more interest in whatever. Panic of aging. And that all shows up on the dating apps.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fuck You 50s. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to follow and rate the podcast. And we would love to connect with you on Instagram. So be sure to follow us at the Fuck You 50s. The Fuck You 50s is hosted by Andrea Claire. See you next time.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of children lose the food they count on. Your support helps the Feeding America Network nourish every child's potential. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month. Even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.